So Kara's question was about starting getting work as an entrepreneur facilitator, as a consultant, and the pathway I took and what it took to build a brand and that kind of thing. Did I get it right? All right. So um, when I first started back in 1995, I had done some facilitation in an organization and mostly with Indigenous nations in Northern Canada. And then I stopped that work because it was too demanding. But I realized the part of the work that I liked is doing socioeconomic research with large scale projects. And we had other consultants working on the kind of ecological side of things, impact. And I was working on the social and economic impact on Indigenous nations of very large scale development projects. And so the part that I like the best, although I'm good at research, is just bringing people together and talking about things that really are important, like really big impacts and changes to their lives and making. And so when I looked through all the jobs that I'd done with this consulting firm, I thought, okay, I think that's facilitation. And there wasn't a big market or a known brand for facilitation, but I just started out putting facilitator on my business card. And that the first step I made was to contact people I knew in not-for-profits, because that's where I was interested, and say, would you like a facilitator or need a facilitator? And that was in a city where I had never done that kind of work. And then I also simultaneously started taking more training and building my skill set in a variety of facilitation techniques. And particularly, I loved having a kind of very wholesome suite of tools that were all interconnected, but together they could be bridged and merged and woven and stuff like that. And it was an agency called the Institute of Cultural Affairs. But there are many other sort of separate tools that came along, and I just packed them in my tool bag. But I was I was lucky somehow that I did get some not-for-profit work in child care and child and family care, and then Nurses Association. So I started just going to a lot of, and now today it would be different, but I was going to in-person meetings, women entrepreneurs and Toastmasters and blah, blah, blah. But there's so many online forums now, would just show up and I would say, hey, do you want me to talk about what facilitation is and what it can do? And I'd speak at these events. So I became a speaker as well. And so that was sort of building the brand of facilitation because I was interested in not so much building my own brand, but building up an awareness and consciousness. And I think it's still needed today. Um, I don't think people truly understand what facilitation is and what it can do for the world and, at every level, including in your own families, but generally for sure at the level of communities and countries. And so I would, in a sense, volunteer to educate people about what facilitation was, and then I would demonstrate it by having them share in small groups and give them questions and have stuff on my deck, my PowerPoint deck and stuff like that. And obviously all that would change in today's scene, but essentially the same. Just, be doing a lot more online perhaps. And I found that the more I did that, the more people started referring work to me. And I also brought together all of my colleagues that I really admired that were doing some facilitation work or they were doing coaching or speaking and I said, how can I help you? And I don't want to be in competition with you, but I want to
Mm.
be able to support you. And I know that because you have bigger network than me, you'll end up supporting me as well. So I often went on other people's jobs and just co-facilitated with them. And sometimes I was the main facilitator because they didn't have the skills, but they would still be their clients. So it would be kind of a major job for them. And I was just the hired help. And then finally, I would say I began blogging uh, maybe 15 years ago because again, I wanted to educate people about what it was and a few podcasts and stuff like that. And I just bring up a lot of topics and made a very intentional effort to build the database and offer freebies and offer what, little series of webinars, always related to facilitation. And then I also taught facilitation skills, which brought me additional clients. So by teaching people how to do it, they realize, oh, this is quite complicated. I probably need to hire this person to do it. So let me just stop there.